One ranger knew where I was, but I was out in the middle of the woods. I had a GPS, I had it in my sternum strap on my bag. This is not a joke. I walked up to a stream. When I looked at the stream, I looked down and it popped out of the sternum strap and fell into the stream. It was like something from a movie.
I came to SHOT Show 2016 in Las Vegas, Nevada, where I asked people this question. Tell me about your worst or best outdoor experience.
I don't know about a worst outdoor experience. I guess I was hog hunting over in East Tennessee one time, and we asked the guy where to find the hogs that time of day, and he pointed up top of the mountain. Darn, I thought I was planting a flag when I got to the top of that thing. I got up at the top of the hill and I almost stepped on the hog. I scared him, and he scared me, and we both went different directions. But that's probably my worst experience hunting outdoors.
Well, the worst one can also be the best one.
I think it's kind of funny. It's always the worst or the most uncomfortable experiences are the ones that you remember.
I don't know, man. I don't even know. Even a bad day at the range is a good day.
One time I did cross-country ski to a glacier point in Yosemite right before Christmas, and it started snowing very, very heavily. I was the only person at Glacier Point, and I was stranded there for 5 days. So I had to, I did lots of beautiful pictures during the trip, but I was just there all by myself at high country. Temperature was about in the low teens, so it was a very memorable experience.
I was mountain biking in North Carolina with some friends, and we were doing a trail that was supposed to be a fairly flat trail, going kind of around a mountain, and we ended up following the river up somehow and got on a side trail that ended up disappearing. And as the trail got up higher, it got thinner and thinner and thinner until it was basically we're following this little creek, and we were too dumbheaded to actually realize that we were off the trail. And about an hour and a half later, we ended up connecting to another trail that ended up bringing us back down to the first trail we were supposed to be on. So it's one of those, like, the worst experiences are the best, and you sort of remember those and they stick with you because you're in a group and you're commiserating and you're going through the same pain, but yet when you get out of that uncomfortable situation, it becomes really energetic and exciting again because you're like, I made it out.
All right, you know what? The one thing that I think is my consistently bad outdoor experience are the state bird of Indiana, and it's the mosquito. They're about this big, and if you watch my videos from the summer, you will actually see those things like flying around my eye. They'll get up in the camera lens, and people sometimes point that out. They're literally everywhere. I have this bug zapper that looks like a tennis racket. I keep it in the Jeep, and every time we go out, we'll light some of those little outdoor candles that are supposed to get rid of the bugs, and we'll spend the first half hour to swing those tennis rackets around, pop, 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 bug zapper in it. So I guess that's probably my worst outdoor experience. And the stinging nettles, we have those. The Mac range is absolutely covered in them, and those things will get you through denim, that will get you through anything. But I also hear from my survivalist buddies that they make pretty good soup, but I'm not going to even try cooking those things because they're disgusting looking, and I absolutely hate them.
We were camping in the snow, and so we tried to build this igloo before the night came, but we couldn't get it done. So we used a tarp to kind of make a shelter, and that night my sleeping bag wouldn't zip up and it was freezing cold, and I really had to go number two. So I jumped up out of my bag in the middle of the night, ran outside, and forgot that there was a creek right outside our snow cave, and I crashed into this creek, and I was barefoot in the creek having to go to the bathroom, and so I just let it rip, and it was one of the worst experiences of my life. And so I climbed out of there and I went up and found my scoutmaster, and I was crying. Oh my god, I wasn't crying, but I was, oh my goodness, it's so cold, I don't think I'm gonna die. So we built a fire and made a little shelter up there in the night, and that was probably one of the worst, but also one of the best stories ever. So
I was down in Florida working on a commercial fishing boat, and we got into a storm about 3 miles offshore off the coast of Pine Island. Boat kind of got blown aside and we got stuck on Shell Island for a couple days, and we're talking February, March timeframe in Florida, which can be really, really hot during the day, not so hot at night. And when you're out there freezing with very little to eat, waiting for somebody to come and figure out that you didn't come back to the fish house, it's a scary trip. But those type of things inspire you to learn more, learn about survival, learn about emergency preparedness, and do what you do.
The worst one was freezing to death when I was in the Marine Corps in the middle of winter, doing field exercises where I literally couldn't feel my feet for almost 5 days.
Going into the Sierras Memorial Day weekend with a lot of snow and going through a gate that we shouldn't have gone through and getting stuck in some snow, having to walk out and have the ranger come out and pull us out. But we ended up having a good trip.
Tell me about your worst or best outdoor experience.
I was in Washington State. I went out there for a wedding. My friend was getting married in Seattle, and I went out to Olympic National Park by myself. Summited a peak. It was probably about maybe 6,000 feet, and it was in the clouds. When I came down, I actually walked past where the trail was, got down into a valley, and so was basically lost on the other side of the country from where I live. I'm from New Hampshire. I was in Washington. One ranger knew where I was, but I was out in the middle of the woods. I had a GPS. I had it in my sternum strap on my bag. This is not a joke. I walked up to a stream. When I looked at the stream, I looked down and it popped out of the sternum strap and fell into the stream. It was like something from a movie. So I picked it up. It actually still worked for a minute, and then it died totally. So now I'm lost in the woods. I have no GPS. I finally got it to work again once it dried out, but because there was so much snow and the GPS was one of the original Garmin's, it couldn't track me. So I had to take off my snowshoes, run in the snow until the GPS, the satellites could pick me up. Then I would find my direction of travel, put my snowshoes back on, travel, take my snowshoes off, run around so the GPS could be picked up by the satellites. And I did that for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, until I finally found the trail, made it back to camp. But that was a key moment for me actually thinking, I'm gonna have to do wilderness survival for real tonight. Fortunately, I got out of the situation. But that was scary and invigorating all at the same time.
I went on a Rubicon Trail trip last summer, and I thought I was so well prepared for that trip. Looking forward to it for about a year of planning, and it was awesome. I mean, the scenery was amazing, the people were amazing, the terrain was so much more difficult than I had expected it to be for my vehicle. I broke lots of stuff on my vehicle and I didn't complete the trip, and I think I spent the night sleeping on the trail, on the side of the trail, trying to imagine, okay, how am I going to get my big rig out of here? But we prevailed.
Elk camp from, God, I want to say like 5 years ago.
I was hunting with my dad again. This time we're going for mule deer.
I think I just had forgotten everything, to bring along everything, and for whatever reason it just started dumping snow that year in the unit we were hunting, and was not prepared for the giant snowfall. In addition to had some traction issues on some log roads getting to our camp. I don't know if that's so much of an outdoor experience. That's just me being ill prepared. So definitely encourage everybody to be super prepared for any situation, no matter what conditions might be, right? Plan for the worst.
And we had backpacked way up, there's a theme again, way up into the mountains, and he went out early in the afternoon and said, hey, I'll be back by nightfall, and he wasn't back. And so 8 o'clock rolled around. I'd shot like a grouse with my Remington 700, and I was grilling it on a spit, no lie. And 9 o'clock rolls around, and I'm worried about my dad. And then it started to snow, it was super cold, and he's out all alone. Who knows where my dad went? And I'm sitting at the camp, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight 30, my dad rolls into camp. And I literally thought he had died. I could just envision he had slipped off a cliff and was gone. You remember that story, hon? That was my worst memory, because in my mind I'm racing, and then when he got back to the camp, I lit into him. I was so mad. I was like, you made me worry about you. And the only thing he had to say to me, he didn't apologize or anything. He's like, was it you shooting the 30-06 and scaring my deer? Because I killed that grouse. I was like, yeah. And he didn't apologize or anything. And I was so pissed. That's my worst experience.
Probably 3 or 4 years ago, it rained really, really hard during deer gun season in Ohio. I got soaked all the way through, and then the temperature went from like 45 to freezing, and I actually got hypothermia, and like I had to hike out with stage 1 hypothermia back to my ATV which was a couple miles back, so that I could get back to a place. I ended up in the hospital and everything. It was bad. I lost everything that I took into the field with me that day, because the compulsion is to get your clothes off, because your brain actually thinks that you're hot. bad situation, cost me a lot of money and almost cost me my life. So bad, we'll go with bad on that one, bad situation.
Oh, the worst outdoor experience would be a friend of mine that I went to school with when we were about 13 years old. And we had found a skunk den. And the mother skunk had some little ones. And we decided that we would watch the den until the skunks or the mother left, and then we would dig out the babies. Well, mother had slipped back in the den and we dug out the mother, and both of us got a full facial dose of skunk odor. Very bad experience.
I organized a martial arts training camp on the island of Palawan in the Philippines, and a very beautiful island. And the camp involved multiple boating trips to isolated islands, and every day we traveled to an island, had lunch out there, and trained out there.